Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Cancer April 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel St. James, clairvoyant. Well, we have an interesting deck this month. It's called the heightened deck, and this is what the backs look like. And I will provide you my unique perspective of the energies and influences surrounding you, which will help you to navigate the month with insight and awareness. Now, I usually use astrology and numerology very heavily in the readings that I use, but these cards have some additional elements to them. They have Chinese I Ching. They have Nordic runes from the old Viking days. And they also have biblical Hebrew letters. Now, each of these things act as lenses through which the energies, if you like, can be seen, or through which they pass like light from the other realm. Now, of course, these will not provide a prediction of a fixed future for you, but they are lenses that reflect the energies that are at play and provide you guidance and allow you to have a deeper understanding of the path that you are on. Now, over the course of the last month, I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for people from different countries around the world over FaceTime and Skype. And if you might be interested in having a look at what's involved in a one-on-one clairvoyant reading with me, then just check out the information that's in the description at the end of the video. Now, separately, I've also done a number of healings for people over FaceTime and Skype from different countries around the world as well. Now, I received the spiritual gifts of clairvoyance and of healing at birth. The gift of healing was provided to me on the basis that I receive nothing in return for it. And secondly, I must use it for people who ask. So there is no obligation. Reach out. You might have some heartache or heartbreak. You might have some grief you're working through or some other emotional issue. You just might be at your wit's end with something. There could be some physical problem. Then reach out to me. Over 40 years or more of doing it, I can assure you that I've seen and heard everything that there is, and I'm non-judgmental. And actually, I wipe everything that we speak about at the end of the session anyway. It is the free lunch. There's no obligation. There are no strings attached. So don't be afraid to reach out, as so many people have done. I'm very happy to provide it. Now let's get the 5 cards underway for you. 5's all we need, and see what they have in store for you from an energetic point of view. And the first is Father of Wands in the East. This is the 7 of Swords with a Chinese I Ching in it. Here's another Chinese I Ching, which is the 9 of Cups, incidentally. And here is the 6 of Wands. Has that got anything with it? Yeah, Chinese I Ching as well. Well, you might have to move country, but the looks of things at the moment. Let's have a look here. And there is finally the Son of the Sword, Son of the Swords in the South. Well, I'll bring the camera around. Why don't you come and sit down here next to me? You and I will have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading especially for you. Now, there's a moment here where you just might not be feeling your usual self, but you come on strong and have great power, victory, joy, happiness, wishes fulfilled. This is like a resurrection, really. So I'm going to start with the card where you might not be feeling your best. Actually, what's interesting here is that you have the hexagrams from the I Ching, nothing else in there. So yours is the Chinese selection in your spread. Let's have a look at this, shall we? And see what this is talking about. Now, if I look at the picture here, then it's really faces melted together. And they are the faces of what I would call patriarchal power, the useless old men who arrange the world for their own benefit and who so often send young men off to die and extinguish their future. Now, the hexagrams, they are either solid lines, as you can see here, or broken lines. The solid line is yang, or active principle. The broken line is yin, or receptive principle. Now, they can either be read individually, in couplets, as threes, or as six. Now, I'm reading it as six. And if I read it as six and look through it here, what I have is what in English one would say, the darkening of the light. Now, when the light goes down, sometimes it's a good idea to become invisible. Imagine fresh darkness, the period just after sunset or after a fire has gone out. Now, there's still a lot of activity left over from the light of the day and movements in the outer world. Then, well, they're really at their most dangerous, aren't they? Even the smallest sound, the faintest glow of light might attract unwanted attention. And when the darkness of stupidity reigns in world affairs or in our immediate social affairs, it might be a good idea to keep your brilliance hidden under a bushel. Just keep it hidden. Let your thoughts and efforts be quiet, self-contained, and protected as much as possible from harmful influences. Now, don't let yourself be swept along on the currents of conventional wisdom, particularly where there's a lot of uncertainties around. Don't get depressed either, because this is coming out. You're moving out of this. So just this moment, I think, that you have, endure it and knowing that it will pass. Now, perhaps you're feeling cautious and reserved and controlling yourself. Well, you don't need to unnecessarily stir up the forces of opposition, do you? Because during dark and unsettled periods, it's best to step quietly around sleeping dogs, if you know what I mean. Now, why might you be not feeling yourself? Because if I look at the astrology of this, where it's placed, it's the moon ruling the third decan of Aquarius, and the emotions of the moon cloud the intellectual qualities of Aquarius. Aquarius is thus weakened. Now, Aquarius is also in opposition to the sun. The sun is the symbol of your dynamism and authority. So what can happen there is that there is a weakening sometimes of your resolve. So there could well be a moment where you have a sense of helplessness or a sense of what's the use. You might be thinking of things such as, well, if I make reference to the planets now in the solar system, if I was to look at Neptune, you might be saying, look, everything seems to be clouded by a film or veil. I just don't know what I really want. Or if I look at Venus, maybe you're thinking to yourself, but it's just too good to be true. And if I take Mars, you may be saying to yourself, I haven't the energy, there's no time, and I'm already too old. And if I were to look at Jupiter, you could be thinking to yourself, that's too much good at once. I could never cope with so much success. Were I to look at Mercury, maybe you might think to yourself, I just can't communicate it properly. Or if I were to take Saturn, you might be thinking, look, this is just simply too much trouble and it takes too long. Well, in summary, these literally destructive thoughts just do not need to be taken seriously by you. The reality is very different from how you might be perceiving it. And you are going to look back and you're going to laugh over your own doubts. You see, your fears have nothing to do with reality at the moment, so wake up and see what's happening. Now, in What areas of your life do you let yourself talk yourself down with your own limited ideas? And what are your constricting belief systems? Say this to yourself now, because the rest of this is showing that it is true, and say, I master all the skills and means needed to achieve that which I long for most deeply. Now, what's below that card? It's a court card. It's a person. Let's have a look at it here. Well, no hexagrams or anything on this. Who is Osiris? Well, Osiris in ancient Egypt was the god of fertility, of agriculture, also the god of the afterlife and the dead, also of resurrection. I spoke of a resurrection for you, didn't I? And life, vegetation. Now, he was always depicted as a green-skinned god with a pharaoh's beard, and he was partially mummy-wrapped at the legs. In fact, he was the first mummy, I suppose, and he always wore a distinctive crown and held a symbolic crook and flail. Now, his brother, Set, killed him and then cut him up into pieces after killing him, and Osiris's wife, the goddess Isis, she gathered all the pieces of the body and wrapped his body up and enabled him to return to life. So he was someone who was dead and then was resurrected back to life. Now, this is speaking to me, and this could well be somebody that you know. I'm getting a lot of Aquarius and a lot of Capricorn around here. It's a young man, although these court cards, of course, can be of either gender, but I'm going to refer to it as a man because Osiris was a male gender, but it could be a woman. But a man who is intellectual, full of ideas and plans, very clever, but a little bit unstable, someone who can be a bit domineering, elusive, and really impressionable, I suppose. You, however, though, at the moment, are going to have great intuition, great creative thinking, and you will now begin to cut through all entanglements, and you are becoming free of limited ideas and models, and you'll have a very clear perception. Now, the thing is here that as a prince, esoterically he's air, and in the suit of swords is air. So there's a lot of air. There's a lot of activity, but not necessarily plans. Now, you might find that this other person can be very active or can have a lot of ideas, maybe a bit unrealistic about things. There could be movement, but not particularly movement in any particular sensible, useful area. In a sense, they're a person who is out of control, really. Now, sometimes such a person can go in random directions without putting together all of their efforts into a focused space. And this can sometimes be an example of the mind, which is very, very creative and full of ideas, which I think that you will be in here. So in some respect, there is a warning here, which is to say, look, you understand reality, and that you don't simply fall into situations accidentally, but you create them around yourself based on your beliefs about reality. Now, there's a hangover for people sometimes from the past. If all someone's ever been told is that they're clumsy, well, then that person actually acts as if they are clumsy. Whatever true natural grace that person may possess, it actually remains undiscovered and undeveloped because at some time in the past, someone convinced that person to see themselves as clumsy. Now, there are other examples that you could come across. But I think that what you will have here is a very highly developed intellect, and you're going to love thinking, questioning, and philosophizing. I think you'll be good at creating ideas quickly,
But be careful that you don't move on without developing them. Your intellect might be draining to other people, as they find it might be difficult to keep up with you. You're going to be independent, I think quite private. Some people might find you difficult to get to know. And I think that this does really analyze a time when you need to just be aware that you should slow down and analyze your thoughts to see if something practical can be gained from them. So what I would say is that this is suggesting that you free yourself from whatever limits your mind and your spirit, and be sure that you express your ideas and plans in ways that other people will understand, and accept their opinions humbly. You don't have to agree with them, but take them on board. You see, your thinking, I can see here, just might be way ahead of its time. But you'll be able to adjust to make your vision workable in the present without sacrificing anything. Now ask yourself this: what beliefs, feelings, relationships, or programmed ideas do you allow to limit you? Say this to yourself: I find that my creative possibilities have no limits, but they do need to be grounded. Now, where do we turn to next? I want to have a look at this card down here, because I think this looks really interesting. And it is the Six of Wands. Let's have a look at the Six of Wands. Well, very briefly, what we have here, by the looks of it, are 6 spears. They're all the same height, aren't they? And I think that suggests cooperation. And there are vines of ivy. Now, ivy traditionally signifies victory, and ivies are evergreen, so they're always around, always symbolizing victory. Now, this hexagram that's in the bottom here, you see they're all broken line. The 6 of them are all broken, so they're all the receptive energies. They're all yin lines. And unsurprisingly, this really translates into receptive power. Now, great receptivity, it attracts great gifts and great blessings. A natural responsiveness attracts success through support and perseverance rather than through bold, aggressive action. So, a wise person demonstrates strength like a powerful but gentle mare, the female horse, rather than that of the stallion at some times. Now, this is a really auspicious hexagram consisting of all yin lines, and it represents the power of the feminine principle. The receptive force is sensual and subtle, and it can be overlooked by too much thinking and talking and planning. Now, when spring comes, for example, do the plants plan to grow? No, they don't. Well, this is a time to concentrate on realities rather than potentials, with how to respond to a situation rather than how to direct or manipulate it. Now, the mature feminine, she allows herself to be guided by a higher power and is skilled at graceful acceptance. And spiritually, her quiet contribution is highly effective, bringing a deeply felt kind of success. Now, the astrology of this is Jupiter ruling the second decan of Libra. Well, Jupiter is all about love, expansion, and philosophy, and this combines with the creativity of Leo. And so you have success in achieving your goals. Now, Leo is also ruled by the sun. And I notice that this is a 6, so that's also, I mystically have an association with the sun, with the number 6. And so there's great harmony here as well. And you'll find that the influence of Leo is going to give you confidence and creativity, while Jupiter will bestow an expansiveness upon you. This is speaking now of a time when you achieve victory, success, clarity. There's a breakthrough moment here, and you're going to feel inspired to continue. I think you're going to get recognitions from other people, and you might actually enjoy being in the spotlight. You are filled with a really huge feeling of strength, which aids you to victory on all the levels you've wished for. Now, Jupiter, the planet of luck and expansion, well, it binds itself to Leo and the creativity of Leo. So all of your goals are going to be easily reached. But you know, and I don't have to tell you, that your victory should not be achieved at the unfair expense of others or unjustly set them at a disadvantage. You see, your struggles, your fights, your wars, they must be won by fair means. And your victory should be put to the service of some good cause, which benefits all involved. So I think that you do have victory over past troubles, and although you remember them, you've defeated them, and you've become stronger. There's high self-confidence from Leo, so go out and set new goals and improve your learning and understanding, which is the Jupiter aspect. Do what you are planning to do, because the moment promises success. Now, what do you really want to achieve? What does victory mean for you? And say to yourself, I am now ready to enjoy success in my life. Every event in my life brings me closer to my final goal, and my victory brings benefits to all involved. And I do suspect that you are going to be quite busy, because what we have here is what nature is first, remember. So this is Brahma. Now, Brahma is the creator god. In Hinduism, God is formed by a trinity. Brahma, the creator god, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. They together form the Godhead, a trinity, which those of the Christian audience would also be familiar with. Now, I see that Sagittarius and Scorpio are going to be important to you. You are going to be very active, I think. I think you'll be generous. You might act quite impetuously from time to time, and you might take action that other people are sort of astonished by. They never would have predicted that you would do what you would do. And there could even be a sense of fierceness with you. But here we have fire everywhere here. So there's dynamic forward motion, increased insight, and I do think that there are some changes coming your way. But you will be managing those changes because you will be energetic, ambitious, adventurous, and there's a determination with you. I've got to say this. People are going to find you very charming and magnetic and very hard to resist. You are going to have an energy created by increased perceptions that is now set free, and it becomes manifested. It's unstoppable. Even in difficult situations, things for you and you are going to move in a constructive direction. So it really is a time for you to find your vitality, to trust your gut instincts. Maybe let your hair down, give yourself a pep talk, and believe that you can do it. Also see here that I get around here journeys and traveling, change of job responsibilities, perhaps a promotion, and in particular creative ideas being brought into action, and in particular you having the courage of your convictions here. Now, be awake. Be ready for people or situations which could produce dynamic changes in your consciousness, and be grateful for this gift from existence. Receive it, but don't cling to it. Now, ask yourself this question. Does your present situation allow your energies to develop and to unfold fully? And if not, what must be removed or changed. Seek out situations and opportunities that challenge you and engage them with all of your energy. And say this to yourself, because now you are full of power, that with every challenge which arises, that helps in my growth. With every storm, my roots are strengthened. And finally, we come to this fantastic energy that's in the center here. Let's have a look at it, shall we? Here is the Nine of Cups. And what we have is 8 cups symmetrically opposed running up the columns. And with the 9th cup here, there's water which is flowing through the rock. There's a flowing of emotion and water through that into that grail. Now this hexagram is yang, yin, 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 yang, yang. That means increase. Now, substantial progress and increasing prosperity, well, they are exhilarating, aren't they, when you receive them? And they're good, as long as you go with the flow and keep the interests of others in mind, of course. Well, like a river's rapids, periods of increase can be of a short duration. Ride the rapids while the waves of opportunity, which is now a high. Now, leadership in times of increasing opportunity involves commitment to the needs of dependents and other people. And by remembering that to lead is to serve, a leader strengthens his or her ability to bring about a lasting increase in prosperity. You see, in times of general increase, those who contribute most directly to the common good will achieve the greatest and most long-lasting rewards. And when opportunities for increase arise, very good fortune comes to those who act swiftly and courageously without falling into the trap of just letting their actions be selfish. Now, if you want to get to a position of prominence and power, the best strategy is to work to raise the tide of your entire community, company, or relationship, rather than setting out to swim upstream on your own. And when the time favors prosperity, and when leadership is in the hands of the broad-minded, well, supreme good fortune here is the result. Now, this is Jupiter in the second decan of Pisces. Jupiter rules Pisces, so that's a very strong complementary energy, and Jupiter's philosophical approach aligns well with Pisces spirituality. Jupiter also brings you good luck, so I see here wishes granted, abundance, reward for your efforts, and a bright future. In fact, I see overflowing love, which is more than love. It is bliss, deep joy, blessings, and you have the fulfillment of your goals. The moment is filled with harmony and inner joy, so open yourself to it totally and don't miss out. What a fantastic energy to come into your life. Well done.
I told you it was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did providing it to you. Now, unless I see you privately for a reading or for a healing, then of course I'll see you again next month. And until then, though, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.